We had a customer who wanted to expose data directly from an AVEVA OI server to OPC-UA. And at the current moment, the AVEVA OI drivers, like an OI MBTCP or the Rockwell ABCIP driver, are OPC-DA compliant, but not OPC-UA compliant. So they couldn't act as an OPC-UA server and go read the information directly. So we're going to talk about a method where we can go extract the information. If you already have some AVEVA OI drivers like the MBTCP, CIP, and you want to expose that data via OPC-UA, we're going to talk about how to do that. So in my setup here, I have an OPC-DA server here, right? Basically running the Modbus TCP driver, and there's the configuration with that. And I have, my port set up, and I have my PLC set up, and there's the configuration, my IP address of my simulator. I have a little simulator running here for Modbus data. But I have my device groups, topic 1, and then my device items that are defined here. So it's basically an alias lookup table to my Modicon registers via naming. So it's a way you can kind of make a Modbus register type PLC look like a symbolically addressed PLC. So that's my current configuration. So basically, how do I expose that data via OPC-UA? This not natively, those OI's drivers are not natively OPC compliant. I can't use the FS gateway or the gateway object or OI driver. That doesn't really expose the data in OPC-UA format. So I'm going to use a third-party tool to expose this information via OPC-UA. So the tool we're going to use to expose my OI drivers is something called Software Toolbox Data Hub. So we represent Software Toolbox, great partner of ours. So this utility Data Hub allows you to connect to a lot of different data sources and kind of do the conversion. So we're going to use the component here that allows us to convert OPC-DA, which is basically the native OI drivers that AVEVA has, to OPC-UA. It will allow us to talk OPC-UA, and it's basically going to reach down into that DA driver and pull the information. It can do a lot of other things, right? It can connect to a lot of different data sources, custom code or Excel or MQTT. It has a broker built into it. So if you want to kind of transpose data from different data sources, this can kind of bring that data into one central repository, shared memory, if you will, and then connect to it out the back end through another different type of technology or different protocol. So we're going to go connect to that Modbus TCP OI driver, which is speaking OPC-DA. So here's the Modbus coming into OPC-DA, and we're going to put an OPC-UA client up here and go read that information. And this tool here, Data Hub, is going to kind of do the conversion from OPC-DA to OPC-UA to expose that data for the newer type of OPC connection via UA, which is more secure than, say, the old-fashioned DA OPC. So I'm in the configuration of the Data Hub utility here, and I have OPC-DA selected. So this is where I'm going to tell it I want to connect to my Modbus TCP driver. So it's on my local computer. The OPC server name is Modbus TCP. So that's what I want to connect to. And then I can configure basically the tags that I want to pull in from the Modbus driver. This could be the Rockwell ABCIP driver, whatever it might be. So I can kind of browse into that. And I can browse into these because I had the aliases set up. But let's say I want to go add, another mixer's information. So if I go down here to mixer, say 600, and I want to get my mixer 600 level, and I want to get my mixer 600 temperature, I just basically check this box. Now Data Hub will go out and pull that driver and pull that information into the Data Hub. So I'm going to apply that, say OK, and then I can say view my data. So now basically there's my data coming in, my live information. So I'm pulling that information from that Modbus simulator, bringing that data into my Data Hub via OPC-DA. So that's the data that's coming in here. So the other thing I need to do now is go configure my OPC-UA. So basically, I want to expose this data. I want this to act as an OPC-UA server. So any data that's being brought into the data hub, I want to expose it on the back end via OPC-UA. So if I say view data, there's that data. That's the data that's going to be exposed to the information. So I'm internal right now into the data hub, and then we can go connect to that via an OPC-UA client. So I'm running here an OPC-UA test tool, Matricon OPC-UA Explorer, which is kind of a free download from their website. So I want to go connect to a new server, which is that data hub. And I'm basically going to connect with no credentials at this time, make it simple. So I connect to that data hub. And then if I drill down, there's that Modbus port that I set up here. Make this a little bit bigger. And I can see all the tags that I had configured inside that data hub. So if I want to go look at my 100 level, my 100 temperature, I can see live data coming down here. If I look at my 300 temperature, 400 level, all that information that I pulled into the data hub via the OI driver, the Modbus TCP driver, is now exposed out the back end via OPC-UA. So basically, I'm converting the old style OPC-DA to UA. So with newer technology or newer tools that can only speak, say, OPC-UA, I can expose the data. So we got a client who wanted to do that. They had some ABC IP drivers already installed from AVEVA. They didn't want to connect to the historian or InTouch or application server. They wanted to get the data directly from the PLC driver, but the client tool they were using only spoke OPC-UA. So this is just kind of a workaround where I can put this piece of software in the middle, this Cognate Data Hub, and then use that to convert DA to UA. I would think eventually that the OI drivers from AVEVA would eventually become OPC-UA compliant, but at this time they are not. So we have to use this intermediate piece of software to make that conversion, to expose the data directly from an IO driver from AVEVA to OPC-UA. Thank you very much.